Welcome all. It's draft night again on Primetime Mock, the show where we bring you a different industry draft with special guests from all over the fantasy community every single week. I'm the host of this draft party, Mark Shue. You can find me on Twitter at Primetime Mock. Don't forget to subscribe to us on Twitter. Guys, really exciting show. One of the things in fantasy that is most intriguing me now is Devy talk. I'm not much of a Devy guy. I know there are a lot like me who want to get into Devy. And I brought on some really great Devy minds. I don't know squat. They know a lot. We're going to get into it, and we're going to have a great time here tonight. First up, from under the helmet, we've got the diva of Devy, Katie Flower. Katie, what's going on?
Well, first of all, hello, and thank you for having me join you guys. I will say that you offended me earlier when you said that you Devy people are easy. I mean, really?
I said you were accessible. You are accessible. I was very happy to have all of you so easily accessible.
Another way of saying that you're easy. Anyway, I'm just kidding. I'm glad to be here, excited. I love all these guys. I believe I've been in leagues or drafted mock drafts, chopped it up with a lot of these folks, and I'm just glad to be a part of this. So.
We're glad to have you tonight. Katie, can you give us just a sort of a quick story about how you got yourself into Devy?
Yes, I started in Dynasty in 2014. I tried a lot of different formats. And in 2015, somebody said Devy League. And I said, okay, that sounds interesting. I love college football. I watch a lot of college football games. I used to coach, not college, but I coached boys football for 14 years. I have a pretty good eye for talent. So I got into my first Devy League. My first ever Devy was Todd Gurley. Worked out great. And I got into a lot of deeper leagues very quickly, immersed myself, and here we are.
I love it. I love it. All right, next up from campus to Canton, we got Felix Sharp. Felix, what's going on, man?
I just ran out of alcohol. All the alcohol in my house is gone, and I'm very disappointed.
Very disappointed. Well, I hope we can bring the energy tonight for me, Felix.
Yes, I'm a very low energy podcaster. That's what I'm known for, is being very, very low energy.
That's right. Well, we are so happy to have you. Why don't you tell us how you got started in Devy?
I had always been interested in the NFL draft. I was a kid. I was a child, and I would print the 7 rounds of the NFL draft on my wall, and I would have it hang from the door, taped all 7 pages. And so I would get mad that the Lions took Kalimba Edwards over Clinton Portis when we needed a running back after Barry Sanders left. And so I had always been interested in NFL scouting, and I really liked deep dive players Scott Miller was one player that I was really high on early on. And so deep dives like that. I remember Patrick Edwards out of Houston, an undrafted free agent who was taken the same year as Ryan Broyles. Ryan Broyles, I think, has the record for receptions in a season from Oklahoma. Anyway, I had always been just interested in kind of, who are the players that are going to make an impact? And that wasn't really a fantasy perspective. That was just who should I be paying attention to in the NFL? And so I've gotten into Devy and Campus to Canton the last few years, and it's been fun. It's been fun.
I love it. I love it. Let's go right over to your Campus to Canton part. We've got Austin Nace. Austin, how are you?
Yeah, great. Thanks for having me on here tonight.
Always happy to have you. Always happy to meet new people. I always say it every week. If you're an analyst out there and you want to come join the party and you want some reps doing some mock drafts, we're always happy to have you. I always love meeting new people on these mock drafts and having a draft party with all kinds of people all over this community. It was nice meeting you over at the Campus to Canton booth, the both of you. I think I talked to Felix a little more than I talked to you, but it was nice seeing you out at the expo this weekend.
That expo was like trying to be at a wedding and having to say hi to everybody, and everybody gets 10 seconds. That's literally what it felt like the entire weekend. And there were so many people I missed. But it was a really good weekend overall. Had a lot of fun, and I promise I won't talk as much as Felix does tonight. So that's one thing I can promise at the beginning of this draft.
Well, I hope you talk more than me, because I don't know anything about Devy, so I need you to talk at least a little more than me. And I got to be honest, I set the bar kind of high. I talk a lot if you don't know me, people. All right. Next up, he is from the Devy Royale, Mr. Jeff Bell. Jeff, how are you?
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Mark, for having me on. I'm very excited. Respect everybody in the room, and these are some of the best minds in Devy, and thrilled that I can be here with them in the presence. I feel like I don't stack up quite as well as the rest of these guys. These are the guys that you really want to follow and you really want to find your Devy content from. But I'm just trying my best out here.
Jeff Bell's also someone who's taller than you would expect. Okay,
I'm 5'10", so I'm about average.
How tall did you think he was?
He's like Matt Bruning size.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Jeff, why don't you give us your Devy origin story?
So my Devy origin story. So I grew up in Ohio, and football is ingrained in Ohio. So I'm an Ohio State Buckeyes fan. So I've been involved in college football since I could ever remember, and I really got into playing college fantasy around 2015 when DraftKings and FanDuel came out with, and you were actually able to play college DFS. And so that's where I started playing college sports, and I'm really got back into it recently. So that's kind of the origin story. I've just been a lifelong for the last 30 plus years following college football, love football, and football is ingrained in life, and just getting into fantasy as well.
Excellent, excellent. All right, and your counterpart on the Devy Royale, we've got Kevin Coleman. Kevin, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I was going to tell Felix if he learned how to use Apple Pay, he wouldn't ran out of alcohol and he would have been all right. But
it's true.
Technology for Felix is a struggle, so we just worry about him.
I have all my money in my mattress. I don't use banks. I don't trust them.
You could get, with a click of your phone, you could have alcohol in your house in like 40 minutes at the latest. But such is life. All right, next up, we've got from the Elite Seekers podcast, powered by Destination Devy, Mr. Ben Evie. Ben, what's going on, man?
What's going on, Mark? Happy to be here.
Happy to have you. I had stumbled upon Destination Devy a little bit this off season. Again, not much of a Devy guy myself. I started picking up a few extra podcasts. Listen to actually a lot of the podcasts here on the docket this off season. Now I'm back to redraft. I've kind of trimmed it down. No offense, guys. But now I am really interested in Devy. So I thought that I've really enjoyed the podcast we've had. The Elite Seekers podcast.
Man, appreciate that big time. It's been a fun ride. Obviously, we got a name you guys all know with Ray GQ. And just having him bring me on board with Jordan Richards and the rest of the crew over there with Brandon and Jordan Backus and those guys, it's been a blast. So been in the Devy game a while. It's crazy. So me and Katie, we're in a league for it's been, I don't even know how many years it's been now, Katie, but so we go way back. My first ever Devy league was about as crazy as it gets. I think for me, I played redraft for so long with my buddies and we did Yahoo Fantasy forever. And then I got introduced to Dynasty, where I was bugging the heck out of Ryan McDowell. I was DMing him all the time when he would write back with, get this big wide receiver or get this big wide receiver and you're good. Those were the days. And then I just kept joining leagues. And next thing you know, I joined a Devy league, and it wasn't a beginner Devy league. It was a league where I'm like, my head is spinning. It was 2-time super flex. So you had your quarterback and then you had 2 super flex. So triple flex. It was crazy. We had best ball regular season, set your lineups in the playoffs, tight end super premium. It was a little bit of everything, and it was like 30 deep on both the NFL side and the Devy side on your taxi squad. So that was my first way of getting into Devy, and I knew once I made it through one season of that, I was gonna be okay, and that's kind of how it all started for me. So it's crazy. That was a hell of a league, and it's still going. I'm still in actually a couple of those leagues now.
It's funny, Ben. You talked about how you just sort of jumped in. You almost felt like you were over your head. When you get into these when you want to expand as a fantasy player, when you want to expand just as a football watcher, film analyzer, whatever you want to call yourself, you've got to take a dive. My dad always used to tell me, he says, if you want to get into heaven, you have to die. You've got to put some sacrifice into it to make it work. And I really like that. So if you're out there, you're sort of interested in Devy, you're not quite sure about taking the plunge. I think what we're saying already here on this panel is take the plunge. You'll be glad you did. And last but not least, from Devy Marketplace, we've got Kane Fossell. Kane, how you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing well. I don't know if you can hear me or not, but I hope you can.
Hear you.
Can you hear me?
We got you, Kane.
Okay. Great. My screen's freezing a little bit. I'm recording out of a hotel right now, so what happens. But yes, I'm the host of the Devy Marketplace, which is a fun place where we get to look at more strategy than anything else. Just looking at stats of players isn't my thing. I care about strategy more than anything else, and trying to find value where other people might not be looking, right? We're trying to find value increases both in season and out of season to make sure that we can get the most out of our Devy players year in and year out. So we do that. You can find that on any podcast platform. And then the Headliner U is over on YouTube, which is an extension of the Fantasy Headliners, where I'm just going to be talking about college football all season long. So feel free to check all that stuff out.
I love it. And make sure you check out all the great content that everybody here on this panel is putting out. Campus to Canton, Under the Helmet, Devy Royale, Elite Seekers, Destination Devy, Devy Marketplace. There are so many great options for Devy that you can look at, and even ones that aren't necessarily here now. I'm sure there are a lot of great Devy options for you to look into. We've got some of the best here, and we're having a great time on Primetime Mock. We're going to pull up our draft board here real quick.
And Mark, that was one of the things that when I first got into Devy, there was really only one or two sources. And now it's so wonderful to see all of the different voices in the podcast format, all of the different rankings and analysis. I love it. It's still the Wild West. That's the cool thing too. Devy is still unpredictable. You think, well, so-and-so will make it back to me if I take this person first. It's not necessarily so.
Sure. Yeah. Felix, you're on the clock here.
I do. And
okay, good. Just making sure. I just pulled it up.
I do.
Sure.
I'm just
I got you.
All of the kind of the premium picks are gone, and I'm just like, who am I going to take here? So no, I know I'm on the clock.
All right. So you think about that, and I'm going to throw a question out here to the panel. Again, I'm a new Devy person. I want to start a Devy league. Where do we start? What do I do? Where do I sign up? How many players should I be taking in my Devy draft? How many players should I have on the rest of my roster? Why don't we go from there? Just give us a basic idea of what we're looking for a good startup Devy for a beginner.
I'll jump right in here. So for me, I think honestly, your best bet, you're going to be on Twitter if you're going after Devy leagues, right? So I think your best bet is to connect with some of the personalities that are out there. I tell people all the time, like before you jump into a league, I highly recommend just typing in #Devy, going through, seeing what you're finding. You start to get a feel for different types out there. You start to see the links to the different shows as well, and start talking to some people that are posting with that #Devy. Whether it's people that are participating in leagues, whether it's people that are creating content, I think across the board, it's going to give you some confidence because this Devy community is pretty special. As Katie mentioned earlier, it's grown tremendously over the last, 7, 8, 9 years. It's just started to go crazy, but it still has that like grassroots, like original feel where it's not like mainstream. And I don't know if it'll ever get to a true mainstream. And I like that. I think the growth will continue to happen, but I think it's always going to feel special. So for me, yeah, I could say go to this site or go, there's some great tools out there to help you find some things. But I think connecting with someone, because the community is so great, they're going to give you that confidence. Because you mentioned earlier, the biggest piece that I think is missing for someone being willing to take that next step after they've done Dynasty for a couple of years and go, hey, I want to jump in Devy, or maybe they just love college football, want to get into it right away, is there that hesitancy to fail. And that's okay. Just like anything in life, like go ahead, fail, but you're going to find a whole bunch of people that are right there to pick you up, help you learn, help you figure it out, and talk to them along the way throughout those decision-making processes, whether it's picking your league early on, whether it's making sure you're in with a good group, whether it's how the draft is going to go, how you value players, what resources you should be paying attention to. I think all of those are big, but for me, it's connecting with the community first and foremost.
I love that. And, I don't want to talk about the expo all too long here tonight, but just going to a place like the Fantasy Expo and seeing all these different options, like for Devy, for people like me who are, again, curious, never really tried it out, going and seeing different options for Devy, seeing all that. And again, there are options on Twitter. My first introduction to Devy was, DLF was throwing out mock drafts, and Ryan McDowell had tweeted them out, and I decided to join a few. Ryan found out that I'm a slow drafter than most, unfortunately. But that's how I plunged in. I said, you know what? Like, I don't know anything about this, but I know that I do well by working everything out in mock draft. It's part of the reason why I do a show like this. So I went right to it, found something that I was comfortable with, found some people I could trust who could really, help me sort of guide me on the right path. And then I find, great podcasts, and great people. And not everybody has the privilege of having 8 excellent panelists on their show to talk about Devy. But you can find these people. And like I said, as much as Katie Flower may not like it, you guys were very easily accessible. And that sometimes is what that little extra, I'm here for you, I'm here to help you out, that can be that comfort you find that makes this niche that Ben's talking about like your niche. You know what I mean? So I love that sentiment, Ben.
And I was only teasing.
I know you were, Katie. I know you were, Katie. We know you're a friend of the show. You were back. I think you were on our second show ever with Matt Waldman, and we were breaking down, I think, rookie Superflex or something like that. Probably rookies. Always happy to have you back, and always appreciate what you've got on Twitter as well.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right, friends. So we are in the third round of this Devy mock. Dynasty Bro Dot, unfortunately, couldn't be here with us tonight. Hope he's doing all right. But we are rolling on and having a pretty good time. Let's talk about these top 2 rounds. Like as Felix said, he had a lot of trouble going from round 2. I don't know if it's a lot of trouble.
Can I ask a question?
Go for it, Felix.
Austin, why did you take Travion Henderson over, pretty much every running back except for Bijan?
So
do you regret that decision, counselor?
So I'll be honest. I know everybody's rankings here pretty well except for Ben's. And I was really hoping he was a tank truther and Jahmyr Gibbs would fall to me. And that did not happen. So I gambled on that one and I lost. But I'm still very happy with Travion and Spiller.
Guys, you just drive the bus. Let this keep rolling, okay? This is great.
Austin, man, I've been having people hit me up all week about rankings, so that's funny. It's like, when are you gonna post them? I'm like, let me get through some of these drafts. We'll see where they end up. But I've never posted public rankings yet, so I got my rankings.
It's hard.
Yeah, I got them set up. I'm holding out a little bit.
I don't do rankings.
Are we holding out for the money, or are we holding out for the
fame?
The fame. What are we holding out that's stopping you from rankings? We just don't like rankings. I particularly don't like rankings. Again, my rankings are more tiers. Again, they're more NFL based, and then like rookie rankings. But everything I do is in tiers. So is it just we don't like rankings? We don't like publishing? How does that work for us?
For me, I think. Go ahead, Katie.
I was just going to say, for me, it's not my job. Chad Parsons does all the rankings under the helmet, and he's got a projection model for rookies, for Dynasty, as well as for Devy. I'm the one that got him into Devy, which I'm proud of, and he and I are co-owner in a couple leagues together, and now he's having a blast with it. So I'm really glad, and because of that, he's able to use the projection model and put in his rankings, which – if I had to do rankings, they would be similar, but again, it's nothing I'm really that interested in.
Austin. Damn you, Austin.
That's what I like to hear.
What another bad pick.
Somebody had to take the head case. You might as well take him early.
Oh, somebody just took Eric Gilbert. Ooh. Ben.
I'm
And that eligibility, it just gets me, man.
Yeah, I'm
That's
not
just
worried
a
about that.
heartbreaker.
At the next level, he's gonna be
This
there.
is the Wild
If he
West.
get
At the next level,
at the next
at
level
like
you
Kroger,
gotta
when
get
he's
to
a
the next
manager,
level, mate.
He's about to be that special tight
You're
end.
gonna be in Walmart like, sir, where's the can? Where are the canned goods?
Is he the only guy that can go down to FCS and it be an upgrade?
He can do the what's the man's name who played for the Browns, the freshman running back at Georgia, and then went to Arkansas State. Come on now,
Isaiah Crowell.
Isaiah Crowell.
Yeah.
I haven't
Well,
heard that name in a
he's
while.
not gonna? Is he playing? I mean, I know I saw Washington's out week 1.
He's not currently with the team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dealing with
I
personal
think so.
issues.
That is the
I
most
already-
ambiguous
Jeff, I want-
phrase ever.
It
I want
is.
my team.
It sure is. It sure.
But I remember
that's-
when we were talking about Zach Evans when he was dealing with personal issues. That was not great.
Yeah,
So
See, personal issues at Florida can mean that you don't have the grades to get in the school. It can mean that Zach Evans, he didn't want to give his cell phone up to the coach or something like that, right? In high school, that's why he
Yeah.
ended up going. He ended up committing late to TCU, knocked Dominic Richardson out of TCU. Dominic Richardson ended up going to Oklahoma State. Yeah. Zach. Personal issues could just mean that boy's stupid. That's what it could mean.
You guys, I'm gonna kiss every single one of you guys. You guys are giving me every player that I want. I love this. I really want my team.
You're welcome.
Diamond.
You're welcome.
Oh,
Davey. I'm glad.
no! You sniped me.
Oh, Jace McClellan is who I was thinking of taking there.
That
I was thinking of
where
taking him.
going.
I would have taken
Over
him
Zach
over
Evans.
Zach Evans. I would have taken
Yeah,
him
I
over
was.
Zach Evans.
I was going to. If I didn't go quarterback, I was going to go McClellan over Evans.
It was between Milton and McClellan for me, and I love that I got both. Plus, I got Tank and my man Rattler. Like, you guys have made my night, and I still got 2 guys left to get.
All right, it's on me again.
Let's see if you can snipe me, anybody. I dare you.
Well, Felix
all
only
right.
likes bad players, so it's doubtful.
That's true. So do you, Austin,
Well-
so it's fine.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and take Troy O'Meara right now.
Oh God.
Oh,
Austin, I'm in. We're in Thor's league, and I got sniped on Amir, and I thought about you immediately when it happened because he was next up in my queue, and I got sniped.
Well, it sounds like
Yeah,
he's
he's-
injured right now. So
Yeah, he's dealing with some injuries.
Felix single-handedly had O'Mary's like ADP shoot up like 4 or 5 rounds, like just by him talking about him so much. It was
His
impressive.
catch radius is Mike
impressive.
Williams, and his knee strength is also Mike Williams, actually. So
he's basically Mike Williams.
he's basically Mike Williams.
We're not even talking NFL, and Mike Williams is getting dragged out here.
Felix,
I
you're
mean-
on the clock. Stop your talking and draft. will
I
you?
gotta
Felix.
think. I gotta think here. I'm trying to be smart.
Felix doesn't
Nobody
have
picked-
rankings.
Well, you took Caleb Williams.
I do. I'm looking at my own rankings right now. That's why. Dang, nobody took Jermaine Burton for real.
You can.
We saved him just for you. Yeah, just for you, Felix.
Someone had to fall on the landmine.
I gotta think about this, guys. This is serious. Come on now.
Too much pressure.
I have to find the mock draft again, though. That's
Why did you
fine.
close out of it?
Because I'm looking at my rankings. I went back to my rankings, which is also on Google Sheets.
Felix
Don't
versus
judge me,
technology
Austin.
is the
You can have
greatest
2
rivalry
Google Sheets
in all
open,
of sports.
Felix.
I could have
All
2
of
Google
sports.
Sheets up.
Open a new
No,
tab,
yeah,
bud.
no.
We
Boston,
got
New
tabs on the
York.
computer, Felix.
Nothing.
2021 Felix
Too-
just learned
too
he can do
confusing.
different tabs.
I just tried Apple Pay for the first time today, and it did not work. I will never do it again.
He's out here using Alt Tab to shift through all of his different screens right now.
All right.
The
do you guys
suspense
think
is killing me.
What's
I
going
see a
on,
pattern.
Andrew?
So he's got to go quarterback. He went quarterback, wide receiver, quarterback, wide receiver. So keep the pattern up. Who's your next quarterback, Felix?
Clearly, Ty
this is
Thompson.
easy. This is easy one.
Incoming.
No, this is easy one.
Brock Vandegrift.
Yeah, get that Burton Griff back.
All the esteemed ladies and gentlemen, and then Felix. I see.
If I need to get Carson Beck, if I'm going to go ahead and reach for Vandegrift. All right, let's see. Or Jackson Muschamp, who also took snaps from Brock Vandegrift.
No, just be the graduate assistant that just became a quarterback. Just pick him up. He's a stud. Over that South Care.
Who is that? I don't know this story. All right, Jeff, it's on you.
Wasn't one of the guys at South Carolina? He was a graduate assistant, and they moved him to quarterback.
Yeah, he was Trey Lance's backup, I believe, but Doty got hurt, and that's the state of the quarterback room there. Chris Moxley's really happy about it, Felix.
I think it's hilarious.
I've never seen that happen before. I don't know. Have any of you guys ever seen that, where a team pulls the coach onto the possible starting week 1?
Well, that's like one of those hockey stories, right?
Yeah.
Where
The
coach had to
driver.
come in and play like goalie.
Katie Flower is loading up at running back.
I like big backs and I cannot lie.
She's got Bigsby, L.J. Johnson, yeah.
Milton
She's got a
and
stable
McClellan.
of running backs.
Yes.
You guys draft really fast. I'm like super slow at the turn.
Well, it's better than being a half-fast drafter.
There we go.
A half-fast drafter?
That's what I said.
We're having a great time tonight on Primetime Mock. Guys, we're going to go into and sort of talk about our builds here on our rosters. Felix, you've got all but one pick left here. If we catch you on the way back, we'll talk this last round if we've got time. But go ahead and give us your build and the players you took.
My colleague Austin Nace likes to advocate for Bijan Robinson #1, but this is a super flex league, and I took the sophomore this year who absolutely, performed at a high level last year when subbing in for Trevor Lawrence and DJ Uiagalelei out of St. John Bosco. Just has all the tools. What is he? 6'2", 6'3", 250 pounds, can throw the ball outside of the stadium. So I think that he is probably the odds-on favorite to be the #1 pick in the 2023 NFL draft, even though that's going to be 2 seasons from now. And then Quentin Johnson, the wide receiver from TCU, long, can run after the catch, can beat you deep. He's got a lot of tools. And then my third pick was, it's a super flex league, and I'm like, what am I going to do here? I was considering Jermaine Burton, who I ended up getting in the 4th round. I was considering Jace McClellan just because of his all-purpose skill set, but I went with Caleb Williams because it's never really a bad thing to have a Lincoln Riley quarterback. And the thing with Caleb Williams is really just his accuracy. You're talking about a 57% completion percentage passer in high school, and then then turned around and looked very efficient in his spring game, working not only efficient in the passing game, he looked downright dangerous in the running game. And if Malik Willis is going to get first-round buzz coming out of Liberty, then there's no reason that Caleb Williams can't get first-round buzz in 2024. Jermaine Burton is one of the most athletic wide receivers in the country, having been the fastest man at the opening, I guess in 2019 when he came out. And then Diamante Trainium, Katie Flower, she likes big butts on running backs, and Diamante Trainium definitely has one of those. 230 pounds. He was designated as an athlete, could have played linebacker, played corner in high school, and performed well last year in spurts in the 4 games that Arizona State had. So he's already got the size speed combination, which checks the box, and we just have to see if he can kind of continue to put it together over the next, hopefully, 2 seasons there at Arizona State.
I love it. And while we're here, because we have the panel, does anybody have any real disputes in any of Felix's choices here?
Yeah. Does anyone have any disputes? Kane?
Come for Felix.
Kane Fossell? I want Kane on a debate show. Come on, let's go, Kane.
The fact that you drafted Quentin Johnson about 3 rounds too early, I guess, is fun for us.
When are you taking Jerrion Ely?
He's probably not going to be drafted in this because going by my rankings, there's still better people out there.
What? Why do you hate Quentin Johnston?
I just like better players.
That's not an answer. Who? So let's see. Where is Kane?
Quentin Johnston is.
Go ahead, Kane. Go ahead. Give us your roster. We'll talk about it now.
Oh, you want to talk about my roster?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Yeah, so I took Bryce Young in the first because after the top 4 or 5 quarterbacks, there's not really a quarterback that I'm super confident in. So I went Bryce Young because he was just the best of the quarterbacks available. And apparently I'm just team wide receiver at this point because I seem to have 4 top 50 wide receivers in this next draft on my team. So that's going to be really exciting. I'm a huge Garrett Wilson fan. I think he's the most athletic guy that's in this 2022 draft. And he's just really, really good. The biggest question mark, if you want to talk about my team, it's probably Justin Ross. It's just because of that health concern, right? We know that he got cleared to be coming back. But I'm pretty happy in getting Justin Ross here because if he's going to compete the way that he did in his freshman year at Clemson, we're looking at a first-round wide receiver. Like, he's just really, really good. If the medicals check out, there's no reason why he's not going to be a high pick. Chris Olave is probably the safest wide receiver pick that you can make at this point. And I'm just a huge Drake London fan. I think he's going to do some really great things because they need a pass catcher there, and it seems like they only have about 1 or 2 at USC. And Keaton Slove is about to rip it 45 times a game, so he might as well get one of the pass catchers there.
Would you take Drake London over Quentin Johnston?
Easily.
Ooh, I don't think so.
And you're on the clock. You might as well make your pick and talk about them while you're right there.
Yeah, so this pick is for my boy Felix. This is just for you. It's Amir White.
Oh,
I like that.
that's
You know what?
not what I
like
thought
that.
it was going to be.
Well, I like good players, Austin. So
Felix
Amir
doesn't,
White.
so yeah, that's what confused me.
Yeah,
I see.
That is the one time we agree. So Zamir White, he is one of the most solid running backs of this class. We see right in this 2022 class that there's kind of some top guys that have a ton of explosion, a ton of potential, but those aren't going to be the only guys that are going to be drafted. Production matters a lot to teams, and Zamir White has really solid production. And we're another year removed from his knee injury. If he can continue to get healthier, we're just going to see more and more things with him at Georgia. So I'm pretty happy to get him here because more than likely you're going to be looking at a top 3-round pick in Zamir White in the NFL draft. He's going to go top 100.
And that's the only pick that's really broken my heart because I thought he was going to fall to me to be my final pick. So great. I love that pick for you.
He's so good. You know, the fun part, right, is when you're as into this as we are, like you look at Zamir White and you've been watching Zamir White since he was in high school. You knew how good he was, and then you just see him keep getting banged up. And the idea is that if he can just play, right? It's the same idea with Eric Gilbert, right? Like if he can just play and be on the field and be healthy, like you're confident in that, right? As long as he can get on the field and continue to be healthy. So, you know, I'm happy to get Zamir White here. I probably would have taken him a little earlier, but some of the guys that I'm really a fan of just kind of kept falling down the draft board, and I was happy to pick them up.
So, Katie, I'm gonna jump to you here because you were looking to take Zamir White. You've already got four running backs on your Devy roster. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. You've got 4 running backs on your Devy roster already. You're about to make your 5th pick here. Is that part of your strategy, part of your build? I mean, I know that especially going in as running backs mature into the NFL, that's, you know, they've put a lot of production in through college and into the NFL. Is running back heavy just a strategy a lot of people would employ in a Devy league?
I'm not sure if a lot of people would, but from my research, I view running back as the easiest position to hit in Devy. Whether they end up a bell cow or the 1A of a committee or even the 1B, they're very valuable. And especially guys that are already men. I don't like freshman running backs that are 165, 175, 180 pounds because realistically, they're not going to put on enough mass by the time they get to the NFL, if they even make it. And I don't really want that change of pace back unless it's super deep and they've got really, really great hands and blazing speed. And then they're a different profile. But I like the big backs that can catch, that are elusive, that can carry the load for their team, whether it's in high school or college. Having guys that have already put up some good production. And quarterback is very risky, but because I had the third overall pick, my number one is Spencer Rattler, and he's out of Oklahoma. He's put up one good season. He was redshirted. He's in that Lincoln Riley offense. They're loaded again. He's got a cannon of an arm. He's elusive. He's mobile enough. He's not a running quarterback, but yet he's escapable out of the pocket, can make magic happen. He's a smart kid. A lot of people, when they saw him on whatever that TV show was, they think, well, he's immature. Yeah, he has a little bit of immaturity back in high school. I think that he will grow out of that. It's a different kind of immaturity than like Matt Corral, who's just a knucklehead and somebody that yells at his coaches and yells at his teammates. Spencer actually takes responsibility for himself. He's I went up to the Oklahoma spring game, and a lot of people said, well, his footwork didn't look good. He looked like he was this, and Caleb Williams looked better. He's not losing his job. He's going to be the 101 in the NFL next year. So, and then, wide receivers, about a 23% hit rate. And to try to find somebody that's going to be a meaningful impact to your fantasy team after waiting that long, wide receivers are a dime a dozen, really. It's almost like a worthless position. You can get them and fill them in anywhere. Yeah, you're trying to hit on a stud. And I love Treylon Burks. He's about the only exception, but he didn't fall to me. I was thrilled to get Tank Bigsby. He's behind Bijan Robinson. I've got Isaiah Spiller, and then Tank Bigsby's my number 3. Even though I don't do rankings, I do have kind of in my head. Kendall Milton out of Georgia, another bell cow potential back. Jace McClellan out of Alabama, another big man. LJ Johnson, I've got him rated higher than Henderson. And in the 2024 class, I think he's a big guy, comes out of Cy-Fair outside of Houston, Texas. So Texas, very good chance you're going to hit on a good player, got the size, got the speed, got the hands. And then I just took Master Teague, Ohio State. I think he's an underrated running back, partly because of the injury, but one more good season, and I think he can fly up the boards. And in the 6th round, that's the kind of profile I'm looking for.
I will say, right, if you look at Katie's team, the really fun thing is if you look at the conferences in which the running backs are from, statistically, right? So we're going to get into some Kane analytics here. So get ready here, people. So over the last 5 seasons, 46% of all top 24 running back finishes have been from guys that have either been from the Big Ten or the SEC, right? And that's exactly what Katie's doing here, right? She's drafting those guys from the big schools that already have some solid production. So it makes a ton of sense, right? Because if you just follow that stat, you're going to have a better shot at those guys than you would, trying to take shots at guys at different conferences.
I think it's really smart, honestly, because it feels like no matter what, Katie, those backs are at the very least, going to be in the conversation for you, every year that they come up. So yeah, I really do like that strategy. And again, when you get into fantasy, up into regular redraft leagues, or if you're going into dynasty leagues, running backs always end up sort of being, even in some super flex leagues, running backs often are currency because they're always being sought after. And I really do like that approach. Kevin, why don't we go into your draft now? Give us what your build looks like.
Yeah, I just took a shot at Quinn Ewers. I thought it'd be kind of funny. I love him though. Like I'll be honest, like that's my guy. So
it's good to make draft picks based on if they're funny or not.
Hey, you know what? I'm here to have fun, Kane. All right.
We
Like,
say all the time, get your guys.
I'm
Get
getting
your
my guy, damn
Kevin.
it. And this
do
is
whatever you want.
Golden mullet.
Devy. I'll take him because he could be the number one. And I have Mahomes and someone else in my NFL squad. But
Oh,
I think
sure you do.
I think Ewers is going to be there, and I think that he's better than Stroud. If we're being honest here, I do. I think he has talent. He's more talented arm. We talk about it in the Royale a lot. It sucks that I drafted 3 Ohio State guys, and Jeff's an Ohio State fan. It hurts me as a Michigan guy. But I take Quinn there. I take Keisha where he went. It was either going to be him or Bigsby. But I love wide receivers, and I listen to Katie, but I'm not going to follow her direction. But Keyshawn is my guy. I think he's a wide receiver one of that class. I really wanted Evans, but I took Eric Gray partly because I've moved him up to my running back 3 of that class. I think he could really explode in that offense, so we could see his value shoot up. And then I can trade him before he gets to the NFL. Sorry, Kane. But all-purpose back, short area quickness. I like him. I think he's going to
just trade him to me, baby.
I will. And we'll have that. JSN is someone, Jackson Smith-Njigba is someone he's my wide receiver 3 of that class. And I'm higher on him than Olave, and I've always said that. And I really think that he has that talent. He's special. So I wanted to go there. I wanted to go running back again. So I took Will Shipley, who seems like he had a great spring. It seems like he's going to really catapult that offense. He has good size too. I think he's going to be above that 200 mark. He's receiving back. I like everything that he's going to be in that Clemson offense. He's going to get the production. And then I took a shot at Marvin Harrison Jr. It seems like, from the reports of the camps, he has that size I like, 6'3". He's going to be a special talent. I know that it's a freshman, but I don't really look at all that stuff when I do my drafts. I just take best play of a player, and then I just kind of move from there and take the best asset. And I can make moves and trade and do all that stuff, but give me the best asset. To me, Harrison was there. So that's kind of how I build out.
Kevin, can I ask you a question about Oklahoma? If I gave you 44.5 on total touchdowns for Spencer Rattler, and that's, considering Eric Gray being there, Mike Woods transferring there. They already have Marvin Mims. They bring in Mario Williams. They've got Jadon Hazelwood there. Would you take the over or the under on 45.5 total touchdowns for Spencer Rattler?
Who are you talking to?
Kevin.
Okay.
Kevin.
I think,
but Katie, you can go. You can go too.
No, I'll say. I think over. I think in that offense, I think it's that special. I think he is that they have everybody there. I love that wide receiver room. I think that Rattler can be that guy, and I agree with Katie too. Rattler is my QB1 of that class too.
Yeah, we're looking at like 75 touchdowns for Rattler.
You saw Lincoln Riley lining up Eric Gray in the slot, and I think that he hasn't had a toy like that, in forever. And the wide receivers that they brought in are all deep threats. Mario Williams, Mike Woods. They had Marvin Mims there already. It's going to be hard to stop that team.
But Kevin, what I was going to say about your first pick, Quinn Ewers, he robbed me. He's a local kid, and I don't usually go to high school games. I was planning to go to some South Lake Carroll games, which are just down the road from where I live. And now he's going to Ohio State early, and I can't go see him, Mr. Mullet Head. So it was interesting because I was going to ask, do we just write in somebody that's not on the list? Because I'd already scoped him out. I was hoping people would forget about him since he wasn't on the list, and maybe he'd fall to round 2. Great pick. Even though it was a little bit early, it was still, I like that pick.
Well, Katie, I think he wanted to come down the road from where I live now instead. So now he's going to be up here. So
here we go.
We'll see if we see him or not on the field.
Don't let him take
for
this
him.
podcast over.
Yeah,
Ohio State going to lose week 1, so get ready for it. Ohio State, Minnesota.
Do that.
Gophers forever.
Jeff, I wish you the best of luck, Kane.
Jeff, why don't we go into your picks right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So sitting at the 2 spot, I hear everybody talk about the top 5 quarterbacks, and I don't disagree with that. But when you're sitting there with Bijan Robinson, I thought, you just got to take him because there's a couple. It's very open on, we can get up to 7, maybe 80 quarterbacks in this upcoming class that people are very excited about. So it's pretty open. And so I felt comfortable that I'd be able to get somebody later that I liked. Coming back, Treylon Burks seemed like the pretty obvious best player on the board in the second round there. to get that wide receiver to double up with Bijan Robinson, swinging back around, grabbing Zach Evans as the other running back to just a lot of upside there. It can explode. And I reached to the point where, I'm sitting and I'm going to be waiting for certainly Burks to be in this class, but Bijan Robinson and Zach Evans are going to delay me for a couple of years. And so coming back around, being a super flex and not going quarterback early, I decided to throw a couple darts. Jalen Daniels looks like everything that you would want to check the boxes for him in terms of bulking up and looking good. I know Kevin's got some reports about some inside sources that are saying that he's looking fantastic at Arizona State. And so I took him coming back. Carson Strong was simply because it's a mock, and I thought maybe he'd be on Kevin's radar, and I was just going to mess with him a little bit. And then Malik Willis coming back is just the same, just a dart throw that playing in Superflex, if he's got that rushing floor at quarterback, he's got so much buzz on him right now. He's going to put up massive numbers. And it's the type of thing where realistically, if you're playing in a Devy league, everybody's going to be pretty plugged in. But you might get somebody that in January is just falls in love with him, and you don't even have to ride out the draft process, and you're able to turn around and flip him and capitalize on that value. And so that just seemed like a play that the value could accrue on that one.
Yeah, I think you see from redraft to dynasty how often it almost becomes more like the stock market, and I almost think that it almost this Devy market moves even faster sometimes, where one guy who might not even really been on many people's radar all of a sudden is top 5 in the class, and it's funny how that works out. So if you can be on them early, I can see how you can probably clean up in Devy on your late round picks.
Yeah, and Kenny Gainwell's an example of that. A lot of people were on him. I'm not going to talk about anybody here that was on him, but certainly when the draft kind of came and where his capital ended up landing, I think several people were very disappointed about that. But we see it every year, and values shift up and down.
Well, it's clear that if Jeff was playing Call of Duty, he would have an LMG because he's just taking the spray and pray approach and hoping one of these quarterbacks.
That's exactly hit. I felt like I hit on wide receiver. Felt like I hit on 2 running backs, and let's just throw it out there. And if one of these guys hits, then I think you got a big win.
That's the strength in numbers.
All right, we're gonna get to Kane and Austin. Or no, Kane, we already did your picks, right? Yeah,
I'll talk again if you want me to.
Yeah, well, we'll get to Austin and Ben's picks here in a minute. Guys, draft season is here, and unfortunately, mock season is sort of coming to an end. So Primetime Mock will be coming to an end in the next couple of weeks, and making way for my new project, which is Fantasy Football, a reality competition. I've been talking it up all weekend at the Expo, and I've been talking about it for the past few weeks. It's our pilot season. We've put it together. The idea is sort of an eliminator competition, almost like a guillotine league. Basically, every Thursday night, we're going to have a DFS competition. The winner of that DFS competition is going to be safe for the week. The rest of the players enter a gauntlet from Thursday to Sunday. Monday night players are ineligible, so the lowest scores at the end of Sunday night, they go into a Monday night showdown, and the loser of that goes home. There are plenty of other twists and turns that happen along the way, like you'd see in a reality show. We get all our contestants involved on their phones, sending videos. And we are really excited. I'm putting it together with my friend Chris Moshinsky, who's doing the commissioner side of this with me. And we are really excited for it to keep going. We are having entries and members already announced on the Fantasy FFB Show Twitter page. And you can go over to that Twitter page at Fantasy FFB Show and sign up right now. There's a pinned tweet with the link to the sign up. You can go right now and sign up if you'd want. And it's going to be a ton of fun. And I have put a lot of time and effort into it. And I hope you all enjoy it. But let's move on. Let's go to Austin's picks here. Austin, go ahead and give us your draft.
Yeah, so we already kind of established that maybe I should have taken Jahmyr Gibbs there, but I was gambling that Ben wouldn't, so that I got kind of greedy there. But I mean, I'm not unhappy with how it turned out. I mean, Travion Henderson, To me, I mean, him and Bijan the past 2 years are two of the best high school running backs that I've ever personally watched. Just the way that they make it look easy when it's not. They can read the game well. They just have that natural feel for being a running back. And Travion Henderson is up to 215 pounds or 212 or something like that. So he kind of checks all those boxes. He's an excellent pass catcher. He can threaten the down, working downfield. He's not going to just be a check down guy, which I think you kind of have to have that skill to be considered more than just a 2-down guy, really. So he can do that. And then Spiller, big, powerful back, reminds me a lot of Joe Mixon in college. So I went with him there second after my guy Gibbs, unfortunately, went to Mr. Ben there. Then on the way back, I was kind of looking at the wide receiver situation. There is not, in my opinion, just like an obvious stud wide receiver in college right now. Like there's a lot that I really, really like, but there's no, like Julio level prospect in my opinion. So I figured I could pass on that. I really like CJ Stroud. Whether he ends up being the guy there for the remainder of his career at Ohio State or if Ewers catches him or whatever, but it sounds like he at least has the job here to start off this year. I have confidence that he was my number 3 quarterback last year coming out. He's what you want in a modern quarterback. He can run. He's got a nice arm. He's accurate. So all of that stuff. Matt Corral, I am not going to excuse his 2 bad performances last year, like some people like to do, where they'll say, well, if you take out those 2 games, that's not really how it works. But I like the tools there. And if he can make some better decisions, he spirals. So
Austin subtweeting Adam Lewis over here.
If we, I would never.
Adam.
I think we just added him.
And the other 2, Michael Mayer, I was not planning on taking a tight end here, but he was there, and he's a very good tight end prospect. And with the other wide receivers on the board, I'll try to get the positional advantage. And then JoJo Earl. And my mantra with freshman wide receivers is that they don't have to necessarily break out year 1. They just have to do something, like 1 or 2 plays, and they'll maintain their value so easily. I mean, we saw last year, DeMoss and Fleming didn't do that. They dropped. Burton, Jarrett, Boutte, JSN, they all had – JSN only had that 1 touchdown, and we love JSN. So I think minimum JoJo Earl is going to make at least 1 play, whether it's a special teams, whether it's a catch, something to maintain his value. And so I liked that pick there.
Austin, if you had to make a decision, and let's say you were in a C2C league, right, and say you were trying to trade for Matt Corral, would you do Matt Corral and Eric Gray straight up?
Oh, I sent you a trade offer.
I know. I'm countering currently.
Oh, well, I like Michael Trigg, so.
Yep, I like trigonometry too, so.
We can discuss that.
Let's go even Steven.
I want the bidding to go up. I want some counter offers here. Let's go. Let's bring this up. Come on.
Yeah, no one's gonna pay more for Eric Gray than me. So
that's why I sent that offer. I offered Eric Gray for Matt Corral and Michael Trigg.
Who was
I
the
just
second
like
one?
Trigg though.
Michael Trigg, the freshman tight end at USC.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, you sit on that. We're gonna go over to Ben's picks here. Ben, talk to us about your draft.
Yeah, I mean, just had to jump on the running backs. I'm super high on that can do it all. I think they're going to be able to easily translate their game to the next level, whether it's part of a committee or being a bell cow back. So love both of those guys, Breece Hall and Jahmyr Gibbs. Spiller, great back as well. So if you would have went Gibbs there on the first round, I probably would have ended up with Breece Hall and Spiller there. So either way, I like getting 2 running backs. I think they do hold value, and when you're that confident in those type of guys, it's good to have on the roster. Had to go with my number 1 wide receiver, Jai Hall, in the 3rd round for that class. Absolutely love Jai. I think he has, as elite of a ceiling as can be. And it's going to take a while, but we saw what he did in the spring game, and I fully expect him to get a chance this year. And as Austin mentioned already, if they can jump out there and get on the field in year 1 and do some things, you're going to see that that value continue to skyrocket. Eric Gilbert is absolutely a big time risk. The name of my show is Elite Seeker, so I'm all about the big risk. But if he figures it out and things start to happen, we've seen what happened with Kyle Pitts. he's that level of talent if you're just talking about talent. So if he somehow figures it out, makes his way to the NFL, I don't care that this was not a tight end premium draft. In the 4th round, I'm willing to take that shot, take that chance there. So
he's a wide receiver anyway. You don't have to worry about it being tight end premium.
Yeah, he's designated wide receiver, I guess, on this.
This
is your draft.
He is at Georgia. No, he is at Georgia, but I fully expect him if he makes it to that NFL level. I do expect it to end up back at tight end. Yeah, it could be debatable, but at that size, I just think if he gets there, that's going to be the play. Kevin Harris is a guy. I don't love Kevin Harris, but I believe Kevin Harris will be a back end 1st round rookie pick next year. I think he's the guy after Breece Hall and Spiller in that draft. I think he's got to deal with Marshawn Lloyd coming back. How healthy is he? We know he's supposed to be healthy, and I like Lloyd's talent, but I'm not too worried if they're a committee there. Kevin Harris did a lot of great things. He has great footwork, really good vision, patience. He's a big, tough guy. So in the 5th round, I felt good about that one, just kind of projecting him to be a late 1st round rookie pick. And then it was kind of interesting. So Emeka Egbuka, I like him a lot. He's from the area that I grew up in. So I know, seeing all the highlights of him in high school and the film on him in high school, the league he played in is absolute trash. Like, it is a trash league. He went, the only good school in his league is, 30 championships or whatever over the last 50 years, something crazy like that. But the league he played in, the level that he played against was trash. So, I definitely take that into effect. But if you watch what he's been able to do since he stepped on campus, he has the skill set to be a big time receiver. I think he can be the guy that steps into a Garrett Wilson type role eventually and just really takes a lot of targets from, hopefully Quinn Ewers down the road. So I chose him. I thought about JoJo Earl as well. I love the Austin's pick right there. I think JoJo is an electric talent. And if you're out of Alabama, they're going to find a way to get you the ball as a receiver with that type of agility and just explosiveness. So I really like that. And I almost was kind of funny and looked at Caleb Hood. So I think Caleb Hood is a guy I'm going to take a lot later in some of these drafts, but he is a sneaky one.
Nobody's talking about Caleb Hood.
He is sneaky. And he's a guy that I would have, I was like, for sure, I'm taking him in the 6th round. I was like pre-planned. I'm like, that's going to be my last pick. Obviously playing it out a little bit. We're in a smaller league or a smaller draft here, so that didn't happen. But Caleb Hood is a dude that I'm all about. I think nobody's talking about him because he was a quarterback for one. I think that people just don't realize, if you go back and check out his film, some of the movements that he's able to make at 230 pounds is just incredible. It really reminds you of it's crazy. I know y'all are going to laugh and go crazy right here, but it reminds me of a young Saquon type movements. Saquon light, but his ability to just make multiple moves quickly in succession to avoid getting hit is crazy at 230 pounds. He was
technically Saquon heavy.
He is. Yeah. Yeah. But high school, going back to high school, Saquon was around the same weight, right?
Yeah. No one respects us at 230 pounds. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So that's, that's a type of guy where when I'm thinking in that elite seekers type mold, and that's how I play. I go after the ones that I hope are going to be elite talents. I pass on a lot of probably sure talent to go after that. And I'm okay with that. If I hit a few elite talents along the way, then I think that I'm going to be in really good shape on my Devy teams.
Can I ask you a question, Ben?
Absolutely.
How are you worried about Marshawn Lloyd's health, but not Kevin Harris's health?
I'm not worried about Marshawn Lloyd's health. I was just saying he's coming back healthy. I think that these guys are going to go. They're going to get beat up at the running back position. There's so many injuries going on nowadays. So I'm not – Kevin Harris, again, I wouldn't even have touched him earlier, and he's probably my least favorite pick on this. He's not that elite ceiling. I'm more looking at him if he makes it through this year, kind of shows that consistency, the toughness, the good footwork, gets the end of the year, I can see him being a late 1st round rookie pick, and that's what I'm making. I'm more of a value play to make some moves later on.
Are you worried about his health at all after the back surgery?
I mean, you got to be a little bit with back surgery, but at the end of the day, I not too much. If they say he's going to play, he's going to be good, then I got to roll with that.
Okay, I'll stop interrogating you now.
All right, I want to get you folks out of here. But does anybody want to make any comments on Dot's draft here that we Frankenstein together?
All the falling value.
Yeah, all the falling value. It sort of went the opposite of Katie, but it almost speaks. I mean, I don't know if it says anything because in a way, these are all people we didn't draft. We had dot draft. But does anyone want to talk about any of these receivers or Sam Howell?
Yeah, he sniped Raheem Jarrett from me. Just saying. He's not even here, and he still took him from me.
That's right.
I'll take credit for that pick. I'll just throw it out there right
Raheem Jarrett, honestly, he's like above and away the number 2 wide receiver in that 2023 class for me. Like Raheem Jarrett's just so good. And I think there's a gap between Kayshawn Mr. Booty and Raheem Jarrett. And I think there's a gap between Raheem Jarrett and the rest of the receivers in that class.
All right. We had a great show tonight here on Primetime Mock. I'm really happy that all of you could join me tonight. And we're going to say goodbye to everybody here. But as we do, if anybody has any last words that they want to give to, again, that Devy curious person out there who might be looking to get into their first Devy league, we'll go around and say goodbye as we do it here. Let's start with Katie Flower. Katie, tell everybody where we can find you.
Sure. I'm on Twitter at @FF_Skyler399. And you can listen to me weekly as co-host of Under the Helmet podcast. It shows up on Wednesdays on iTunes and Stitcher Radio. Regarding Devy, the beauty of it is no matter how deep the drafts go, no matter who says you had a great draft or you had a bad draft, you won't know for years. And I like to equate, it's like Steph Curry from the 3-point line. He can hit from anywhere. You can hit from anywhere with Devy. I had Jerry Jeudy as my 6th round final pick when he was still a freshman. And I think he's going to be an outstanding NFL player. Yes, there are busts, but there's busts with rookie picks. There's busts with everything in Dynasty. So have fun with it. Pick your guys and enjoy watching the college game because you got some skin in the game.
Katie, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Felix Sharp, let them know where they can find you.
You can find me at Sharp Review on Twitter and at Campus to Canton. Katie's absolutely right that you can hit from anywhere with Devy and going a little bit deeper C2C and C2C leagues. Zach Wilson was absolutely a 40th round pick or something like that in a startup last year. Even Jahmyr Gibbs right now, who is a consensus except for Kane, first round Devy pick. He was in the 30th round, 35th round or something like that last year in startups, coming out of Dalton, Georgia. Just because he, 4-star recruit who wasn't highly rated by any of the sites, but yeah, you can absolutely. It's football. It's football. It's another level of football. It's getting a little bit deeper. And if you like sleepers, if you're always looking for sleepers, well, then start a year earlier, 2 years earlier, and find them then. That's what Devy is.
I love it. All right, Mr. Ben Eby, let them know where they can find you.
Yeah, you guys can find me at the Ben Eby. You can check out the Destination Devy podcast wherever you listen to your podcast. That's where the Elite Seeker shows come out every Friday. Just focus on all the young guys, so high school and the underclassmen. That's all I get to talk about. So it's a lot of fun. I appreciate you having us on, and everybody out there that's kind of interested in Devy. Your Saturdays are a lot more fun because, as Katie said, you get some skin in the game. So I think it's really important you get to diversify who you're watching, not just your own favorite team, but it makes you, excited about some of the other big games that come on. So I think it's a great thing to do. I love to watch football on Saturdays with my kids, on Sundays as well. So it's a blast, and reach out, connect with any of one of us here. I'm sure every single person here will get back to you. The whole Devy community is a great one. And again, connect with people, ask questions. Don't be afraid. Just jump in. You're going to fail. You'll have people that got your back though too. So before you make some of those decisions, you can always have a conversation about it. So appreciate you having us on though, Mark.
Absolutely. Loved having you on. And guys, it's 9 days away. 9 days away, college football starts again. Austin Nace, go ahead and give him your info, bud.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Devy Dietz. And kind of going hand in hand with what everybody else said, because there are so many, but there was so much uncertainty, I don't want to say, that you can jump in at any point and join a league and learn on the fly, and it's not going to hurt you. I skipped Devy in my whole process and just went straight to C2C. I learned quick because it's, everybody fails, everybody hits from time to time. So if you're afraid of the failure, don't be. Everybody will fail.
That's right. I fail all the time. I failed a couple times this podcast already. So it happens. It happens. You're allowed to fail. You get a little bit better. That's how you jump in. You like we said, you want to get to heaven, you got to die. You got to make a little bit of a sacrifice to get yourself there. All right, Kevin Coleman, go ahead and give him your info, man.
Yeah, you guys can find me at @DuBois_22 on Twitter, and Devy Royale and fantasy writings on Fantasy Pros and Campus of Canton when I have time to write. Sorry, guys, but I will say, hey, the biggest thing is I love the Devy community. Everybody there, everybody's very respectful, and everybody kind of helps each other out, even if we don't agree all the time. And I think that's a good thing for everybody new out there. You can reach out to a lot of us, just like you did to probably get us on the show. We'll answer right back. Our DMs are open, and we'll be like, hey, yeah, let's get on and talk just football. And I think it's exciting for all of us to do. And the reason why you get involved is because you get to watch the MAC during the middle of the week, and these guys because you were looking at them in your C2C draft in the 46th round, and you're like, what's going on right now? But these guys, and you kind of get addicted, and it's addicting to do it. And it's hard to say no to C2C startups because that every time you do it, you learn more and more about guys that you really want to draft and snipe. And so I think it's a lot of fun, and it's just a good community. And it's not very toxic. I think that everybody really respects each other. They respect each other's work.
I love it. Thank you so much for coming on, Kevin.
All right.
And Kane Fossell, go ahead and give me your info.
Yes, you can follow me on Twitter at Devy_Kane. Make sure to check out the podcast Devy Marketplace. If you're trying to get into Devy, it's important to have a podcast that does things a little bit different. We're just looking at values. That's all we're looking at. We're trying to figure out when value is going to go up and when value is going to go down. And that's what we care about. Because guess what? Even if you're not so hip on Devy, there's still just additional assets to trade. That's the best argument that I can make for a Devy league. It's do you like trading? Yeah. Do you want more to trade? Yeah. It's well, then join a Devy league. That's the answer for me. It's why? It's so I can trade more. So if you want to trade as much as I do, just join a Devy league, and people will be really willing to just trade with you and have a good time.
And I think I actually heard this, Katie, on your podcast talking about how easy it is to often get people to flip Devy players to you in your dynasty, in your Devy leagues, and you can often win a lot that way. Finding those guys that maybe your league mates haven't looked so hard on, and you can just say, you know what, I got to make this deal work. I got to have your Devy player you've never heard of. And they say, okay, and they go for it.
Well, not only that, but a lot of people will undersell their 4th, 5th, and 6th round Devy picks because to them it really doesn't. They'll throw them in to make a deal because to them they don't have that much value. Sure. And that's where you could. For me, I want quantity because the hit rate isn't that high. I want a stable. I want my taxi squad full.
It's like the lottery, in a little bit.
Yeah, a very long-term lottery. Yeah, so if I could just add one thing, I think a lot of the other really fun part, right, is that then people, when they want to rebuild, I think it's more fun because you're rebuilding with actual names.
Sure.
Right? You're not rebuilding with picks. You're rebuilding of names with players that you can actually watch and you can get attached to rather than oh, I have the 105, so unless I trade, I have no shot at Trevor Lawrence. I have no shot at Justin Fields, Trey Lance, all these guys, right? This way, you're rebuilding with a name. And I think that's almost more fun because then you're rooting for someone in college.
Sure. All right. Last but not least, Jeff Bell, give me your info, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. Again, Jeff Bell at For Whom J. Bell Tolls. But don't follow everybody here. But most importantly, follow Austin because Austin is 8 followers away from 2,000 followers. So let's get Austin up to 2,000 followers. So make sure to give Austin a follow. But all of these guys are and Katie as well, are so knowledgeable and so fantastic. And the other thing, too, if you're interested in Devy, we all have got podcasts, but they all work really well together in complement. I listen to everybody's podcast and I learn from everybody's podcast because we all do things a little bit differently and we all kind of touch a little bit different areas of the game. And so the community is small enough in Devy that you can really listen to all the different shows and really pick up different things and become a very well-rounded and very good player. But Mark, thank you so much for having me, and I really appreciated being on with everybody tonight.
Jeff, always a pleasure. Katie, always happy to have a couple people in the Two Timers Club, a retread as of sorts. I always love having people back. I love meeting all new people. Ben, Felix, Austin, Kevin, Kane, great having you on for your first time here on Primetime Mock. We always have a great time. We've got one more mock draft next weekend for you folks. And then we are on to Fantasy Football at Fantasy FFB Show. You can find that there. You can sign up there on the pinned tweet. There's a link there. Or you can find me on Twitter, as always, at Primetime Mock. I'm Mark Shue. It's been a pleasure, guys and gals. We will see you again next week. Have a great weekend, everyone.